The philosophy of DOM testing library and React testing library is to test user interface the same way a user would. We as users would probably want to check whether the application contains the visual pieces it's supposed to contain. We would ensure critical content can be read, inputs filled in, and that clicking buttons has the desired effect of having other interface pieces appear or disappear. So for this component, we might want to ensure that an H1 exists with a text lambda. The flow after pulling the component inside of our test would be to mount it into kind of a simulated DOM. React testing library exposes a render function we will use to do this. Let's log out our simulated DOM. Let's run our tests by running npm test. And here we have it. Note how our component rendered inside of this simulated DOM structure. We will take a look in a second how each of these elements has the usual DOM methods on them. So now that we have our component mounted, what is the next step? The next step would be for us to find this heading within the simulated DOM and then assert that it actually contains the text lambda. Remember, the philosophy of the library is to check that expected visual things are there, like certain texts. The same way elements in document have a query selector method on them to help us find nodes, we can call all kind of query selectors on the simulated DOM to help us find these pieces. Let's take a look. Let's declare a variable called h1. And in order to find it, we will call query by text method off of it, passing the text we expect to find. In this case, we will use a regular expression, which is case insensitive, with the word lambda. We will follow by console logging the node, save our changes, and here is our little piece of DOM. Let's log the text content, save our changes, and find lambda. Let's see what we get if we break the test by searching for an element with a text foo instead of lambda. We get an error because null doesn't have text content. Let's delete that. And we are getting null back from our query. Let's fix our test and assert that and we are passing. Let's try another selector. I will delete query by text and control spacebar to see what other options we have. And holy cow, we have tons. But they can broadly be divided into three groups. Queries prefixed by find, queries prefixed by get, and queries prefixed by query, like the one we've been using. They have differences between them. For example, let's try get. Get by text would be different in that if the node is not found, the test will fail immediately instead of simply returning null. Save our changes. Here's our test passing. Let's break it and see the test fail immediately without even an assertion being necessary. Unable to find an element with text foo. This could be because the text is broken up, blah, blah, blah. And even a log of the virtual DOM where we effectively can see nothing there with the text foo. So get by text would be efficient for really quick tests where we simply want to make sure that certain pieces are visible, like lambda. However, to be able to assert that an element is actually not there, we would need to use query by text to avoid the test crashing immediately. And our tests are passing.